So another thing to say about the Capstone workshop course is that it's just one of 2 required courses in the Sustainability Management program, and that students tend to take it near the end of their time in the program. So tonight's final briefings are also something of a graduation celebration, which is why it's going to become increasingly difficult for me to call you back to your seats after these 5-minute breaks. The next presentation is by Brandon Lopez, who will talk to us about manta rays and Peru and all kinds of good things. Brandon.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Brandon Lopez, and this is the Capstone final presentation on manta ray conservation and sustaining local coastal communities through ecotourism. Our client, Planeta Océano, is an internationally recognized conservation NGO looking to raise awareness about the giant manta species and address a lack of societal opportunities in Tumbes, Peru. The client saw benefits in implementing an ecotourism program by means of raising conservation awareness, educating its participants, and looking to financially benefit the local community. Ecotourism is often directed towards exotic but threatened natural environments where participants will engage in the support of the conservation of wildlife. Voluntourism is a subset of ecotourism where participants will engage in citizen science and other service activities to benefit the local community. Now, our client recently tested a pilot program which used local fishers as paid tour guides for the manta-rich Tumbes coast. Now, Planeta hopes to build on this early success and reached out to Columbia University for help in fine-tuning their business plan and program. Planeta Océano's director, Kirsten Forsberg, founded her organization in 2007 and has since worked to conserve manta rays, improve marine education, and sustainably develop Peruvian coastal communities. Its advocacy alliance with other NGOs resulted in 2015 national legislation, which effectively banned the fishing of all giant manta rays. Now, while we know very little about the giant manta, existing research shows them to be a highly intelligent, friendly, and curious species, globally dispersed throughout temperate waters. Unfortunately, the manta faces several anthropogenic threats, the most prevalent of which is bycatch, the accidental capture and mortality of a non-target marine species. What we see here is a 26-foot, 2,000-pound giant female caught off the waters of the Tumbes region in northern Peru. Media coverage of this event was global and proved invaluable in raising international awareness of the plight against the manta. Since this incident, we are happy to report that the fisherman responsible is now a strong advocate for manta ray conservation. Moreover, he was one of the first to sign on as a tour guide with Planeta Océano. Now, this fisherman and many others like him call Tumbes their home. The region has one of the most prevalent and important giant manta populations in the entire world. It has 3 national forest reservations and houses a number of exotic fauna and flora species. Its coastline boasts a number of locally owned hotels and restaurants, but despite this existing infrastructure and a number of biodiversity attractions, the region remains very much under-traveled and is often overshadowed by other regions in Peru. So with these concepts in mind, our central task for Planeta was to develop a business plan for implementing its vision of ecotourism. The client hopes for the Manta boat tours to raise conservation awareness by showcasing a flagship species and educating participants about the importance of biodiversity. Despite its intentions, there is skepticism within the conservation community, which is wary that an ecotourism program will ultimately create more harm than good for the Tumbes region. Now, rest assured, Planeta is poised to sidestep the negative externalities associated with ecotourism. Rather than a corporation driven by its bottom line, Planeta is a conservation NGO. It looks to build with local communities and not try to push them out. Program participants are going to walk away with conservation knowledge and awareness, not just souvenirs and photos. Planeta is intending to implement its ecotourism on a very small scale in an area poised to take an uptick in tourism. This means the ripple effects of Planeta's program will be managed in a way that will support local businesses. And most directly, Planeta is looking to diversify local fisher income. This will reduce the region's high dependency on the practice of fishing. This will make household income more stable and predictable. And marine coastal biodiversity will benefit as a result. Our recommendations to Planeta were finalized as a business plan, offering guidance on ecotourism programming design, organizational and financial recommendations, including a fee calculator as well as revenue projections. Now, our work began with a review of existing client documents concerning both the organization and its ideas for the program. Based on this information, we constructed a SWOT analysis to better understand our client. We were in early communication with Planeta staff, affiliate NGOs, and the local fishers to gain better insight onto the ideal program for ecotourism. Several universities were tapped for surveys to obtain student participation in ecotourism. From these surveys, we learned that an overwhelming number of universities will re-partner with these same organizations for study abroad opportunities. This created a high barrier of entry for Planeta into this space. Moreover, from the discussions with affiliate NGOs, we learned that Peruvian locals are regularly interested in biodiversity activities. However, they were largely unaware of the giant manta concentration that existed in Tumbes. Based on this information, we recommend that Planeta establish a phased implementation of 2 distinct ecotourist programs. The first phase would be single-day manta tours, intended for tourists and locals already in the Tumbes area. Now, these boat tours would showcase giant manta and other exotic fauna sightings along the Tumbes coastline, where participants can swim with the giant mantas while gaining key insights on local biodiversity and conservation efforts. Boat tours would begin early morning. They would dock early afternoon and conclude with time allotted for beachside relaxation and a complimentary lunch showcasing a local eatery. Now, these single-day tours were established as a way of implementing Planeta's original idea of ecotourism in a more cost-effective manner, which allows the organization to build experience before it branches to a much more involved multi-day program. In Phase 2, Planeta would implement just that, a 7-day ecotourist experience. Here, the target demographic begins to shift away from your locals and tourists and more towards the collegiate undergraduate scene. The program would be research-oriented, with participants engaging in citizen science as well as voluntourism. They would observe and document manta sightings and other exotic species across multiple boat trips, research and sample microorganisms and planktons in the coastline, and engage in collaborative service activities with the local community. Now, it's important to note that the final program itineraries would ultimately get hashed out with the academic staff that Planeta is partnered with. So with these circumstances in mind, the team designed the week-long itinerary with an intent to showcase all of the deliverables that Planeta can offer a university partner. With regards to financials, Planeta desired that the program be entirely self-sustaining in its operations. Moreover, the organization reported a history of poor bookkeeping and sought input from our team regarding its financial management. In turn, the team provided an Excel-based pricing calculator for Planeta. Now, the calculator is designed as an easy-to-use tool where the client can input any number of costs and fees associated with the program, and the calculator will determine the necessary price Planeta should charge its participants based on any desired margin. Now, the client can edit the program with any changes in local costs and create multiple calculators for different programs. The revenues generated from this program tool feed directly into a 5-year revenue projection. Now, this allows Planeta to make estimates as far as future revenue costs, future revenue streams, and costs associated with the program. Planeta is looking to leverage the success of its ecotourism and diversify its existing revenue streams. And this was something that was made very clear to us early on, as well as Planeta's immediate need for an additional boat, as well as educational supplies. To satisfy this, we established a crowdfunding campaign for Planeta. We're happy to report that to date, it has raised over $3,600. Now, despite our successes in crowdfunding and recommendations, we did have to navigate multiple challenges. Timely responsiveness and communications were made difficult due to language barriers and geographic distances. This required the team to remain flexible and adjust the scope of our work to any new information from the client. Moreover, financial information was somewhat limited from Planeta. So based on these circumstances, we did have to adjust our original financial projections and create a calculator for the client. This does have the added benefit and practicality of being easily modified based on local costs. In the immediate future, Planeta will better organize its financials. It will implement team-recommended procedures, and it will continue to train its permanent staff and local fishers in areas pertaining to safety, first aid, and customer service. Planeta must ensure that the entire organization has a clear understanding of its ecotourist mission, and it must strengthen its marketing strategies. This will include leveraging social media campaigns and finalizing the brochure templates that we have passing around. Over the next 5 years, Planeta envisions becoming the premier organization for manta ray ecotourism in the Tumbes region. And over these 5 years, it will showcase how an organization can implement ecotourism while sidestepping its negative externalities. Our recommendations in program segmentation, phasing, and financial management will facilitate their growth and development towards this goal. I'd like to thank the entire team, Andrew, Alex, Ma, Max, Sim, our 2 team leads, Ellen and Dolores, and our faculty advisor, Professor Robert Cook. Thank you very much.